Thank you so much for joining us today. I see some new faces and I see folks who have been deeply involved with the program as well. So we're so excited to have you here to learn more about the program if you are new to the program, and also to hear about the success stories that we've had this semester in the Achieving the Promise Academy. So today we're going to be sharing with you about both components of our program. As some of you know, we added on a piece to the program that's new this semester, in addition to our one-on-one coaching program. So in our one-on-one coaching program, we have students who join the program and get assigned to an academic success coach, and the coach helps the student navigate the Montgomery College system until they graduate or transfer. And that's been a very successful program thus far. And this semester, as many of you know, we added on the embedded support component, where we hired part-time faculty members to serve as coaches in highly enrolled classes that traditionally also serve as challenging for students. So we're excited to share with you about how both pieces of the program went this semester, from the voices of those who were on the ground and also from our wonderful students. And I'd like to acknowledge my two colleagues who are here today. I should probably introduce myself. I'm Yurei Pramash. I am one of the program coordinators, and along with me today, I have my two colleagues, Marie Arthas and Richard Scott, who are also program coordinators with the Achieving the Promise Academy. Unfortunately, our fearless leader, our director, Jabet Lozupone, can't be with us today, but she's with us in spirit. And we are so honored and grateful to have VPP Margaret Latimer joining us to offer some opening remarks. VPP Latimer is the VPP for the Germantown campus and also for the STEM unit college-wide, and she has been so instrumental in offering support for our program, advocating for our students, not only on our one-on-one side, but also as we implemented the first iteration of our embedded support program this semester. She was incredibly supportive in identifying sections of courses that could participate in the program and sending really great candidates our way to serve as coaches in the embedded support program. So we're so thankful that she's here at a really busy time, and I know she has to run off to do some really important work after this, but thank you so much, VPP Latimer, for being here and joining us today.
It is my pleasure and my honor and privilege to be here to address this group. This may be the first such event, this information and celebration of ATPA. It will not be the last such event. And I want to start by thanking all of you for the work that you have done this fall and coming today. It's a busy season in many ways, certainly in academia. I suspect some of you have been grading frantically and may still have a little bit of that left to do. You probably have heard the saying, data tells, stories sell. I want to share some of each of those today. The data is the information part, if you will, and the stories are the celebration. There are different roles, as Yurei just said, that people here play, and knowing what each other is doing is really important to the growth, to the development of this program, as this team grows and as the work that this incredible team does develops. So here's some information. ATPA's one-on-one coaching program pairs students with academic success coaches who help students navigate the college system. We currently have nearly 200 students on the one-on-one coaching side of the program. One-on-one coaches meet with students once a week, every week for 30 minutes. In the spring, we're transitioning to a model that meets students' individual needs more as the students begin to master self-advocacy skills. And I want to just emphasize how important that is. And I'm so delighted that that's become a part of this program. It's great to help students. It's great to help anyone. But part of that process, that next step, needs to be helping students to advocate for themselves, to take those lessons learned and be able to incorporate that into their lives. So as I said, I'm thrilled with this new part of the program. Those who are thriving and have demonstrated continued success will meet bi-weekly or monthly with their coaches, while those who benefit more from frequent interaction with their coaches and all students in developmental courses will continue to meet weekly with their coaches. We currently have 23 one-on-one coaches. They're all very familiar with MC system, and most have or are currently teaching at MC as part-time faculty members. Busy lives. Last semester, ATPA students had higher GPAs and lower DFW rates than before they began working with an ATPA coach. Take a few seconds and let that sink in. Those are the goals. Those are the successes. Here are some of the things. These are the stories. This is the celebration. Here are some of the things that students have said about their one-on-one coaches and their experience. Always a pleasure. I always leave the session feeling more positive and on the right track towards my academic success. Ms. Daisy is such a kind and helpful individual. I am lucky to have her as my coach. Dr. Durrani is a great coach. He doesn't just get involved in my academics, but also gives me advice about my personal goals. Dr. Rosa is very genuine, and I can tell she really wants me to be successful. I will be. He is very understanding. That's a generic he. Some of these don't have names attached. He is very understanding and is willing to look for solutions to my problems if he does not know them. And what an important skill to model. Problems don't always have immediate solutions, and one of the things we need our students to learn is how do you figure out how to solve a problem. So for that activity, which all of you are doing, I suspect, in one way or another, that is a tremendous lesson that students are learning through this. Another student wrote, I had some very confusing situations about how to handle and take online courses because it's my first time I've ever taken one. Dina was extremely helpful, showing me how to navigate through it. Another student, I really appreciate this program and the entire team of Achieving the Promise Academic, especially my coach who took time to help me and is very attentive. Thank you all and keep up the good work. Another, I'm very grateful to have a coach like Dr. Garcia. She's amazing, and that's all caps with an exclamation point. Our conversation was very helpful. I checked in with my coach about the issues we spoke about at our last meeting and how I've gone about solving them. We also connected a little more personally about my hobbies outside of school. Another student wrote, Raquel was really helpful getting myself organized and creating a daily schedule so that I am able to complete my assignments. Our meeting today helped me relieve stress and feel better about this semester and all the courses I am taking. Another, she's an excellent coach, and each and every time we meet, she always offers valuable resources and finds a way to hear how I feel. I am very blessed to have her as my coach because I feel she really cares about me and believes in that I am capable to reach my academic goals. Another, we got everything done. We organized all my assignments due for the next 2 weeks. We discussed issues on a personal and academia level. Professor Smith understands me, plus she went out of her way to get information on an on-campus group. And finally, this program is very useful for every student at Montgomery College. So those are the one-on-one coaching. Aren't those terrific? I mean, what a testimonial to the work being done in those one-on-one sessions. And then for the embedded, and that's the other part, as Ure said, the ATP embedded coaching program launched for the first time this fall. Part-time faculty were hired to work as embedded coaches with 63 sections of highly enrolled courses that have traditionally high DFW rates. Embedded coaches visit classes and provide study sessions weekly outside of the class. Embedded coaches support student mastery, in content mastery, and also provide coaching on academic skills. Next semester, ATPA will provide embedded support in 152 sections. And here are some of the things, some of the celebrations that students have provided about their embedded coaching experience. She is very helpful and always encourages students to come to her tutor section. Another one wrote, Professor Gottfried attended attended almost every class and assisted students whenever they need help. He also made himself available before a quiz or exam to help us prepare. Very helpful. Mrs. Young, I should have had people raise their hands if they're here. Mrs. Young was great throughout the semester. Huge help. Exclamation point. Another wrote, she's very nice and very helpful. I'm glad I had an embedded coach. And another, she was very knowledgeable, informative, professional, and easy to talk to. She was willing to take time to re-explain the material, clarify things much better, and also willing to be accommodating with students' schedules. Dr. Kane gave us weekly updates as well as emails checking up on us. He was a wonderful help to the class. Another student wrote, he made it easy to ask questions during classwork problems, and it helped me and I believe the whole class. Another wrote, not only approachable, but also very kind and patient. Dr. Mimi Young exceeded my expectations. That's a phrase we all use in evaluations and stuff. I loved it that a student said that, exceeded my expectations. She even stayed longer and helped me and other students to understand and prep for exams. I am glad that I came to her study sessions. Because of that, I did well on my exams. Lesson learned. Another, she's very patient and open to answer any questions we have. As well, she goes back into detail when needed. And finally, I think they should continue this program. It helped me a great deal. Mr. Hodges is an excellent coach, and he should continue doing the program. So whether those, we don't know, some of them were anonymous in terms of who they were referring to, but to all of you, thank you, because you've all generated those kinds of stories and feedback. And they cite some of the important lessons learned beyond just the mastery of content. There's little I can add to the facts, the information, the data, or to the testimonials, the stories, and the celebration. But at Montgomery College, we talk about student success, about changing lives, about reducing DFW rates, about +2, getting 2 more students to pass a course, 2 more students in each program to graduate, about reduced time and cost to complete, about increased transfer and graduation rates. Implicit in these conversations, in these initiatives, is a promise to our students. Your work with the ATP initiatives transforms those words into action, into results. You keep the promise. So I want to thank you for helping our students to achieve their promise, especially a special shout out, Ray, Maria, Richard, to all of you for taking this program, which, you know, anytime you launch something, there are bumps, and you have worked to make this so successful for these students. It really has been phenomenal effort, and my hat is off to all of you. As I said, it's not just a pleasure to be here, it's a privilege and honor to address this group, because you have worked to make this so successful. And I know we will see the impact going forward, certainly this semester and in the future.
I'm here to tell you, to introduce you to some students and some who are the reason we're here, actually, and to some of the coaches in the ATPA one-on-one program. And I'm going to ask one of the coaches in just a minute to tell you what that means, how that works.
Being a part of the program has been probably the most rewarding experience for me, personally and professionally speaking. It gives me an opportunity to help students actually personalize their experience with us. And with that being said, the first thing that we do as coaches to welcome the students to our program is to actually reach out and call and say, I'm your new coach, I'm excited that you've joined the program, because I've learned that it's really true that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? It sounds so, you know, old-fashioned, I guess, but it's really true. So initially, it's establishing the rapport with students, saying that I'm looking forward to meeting with you, and let's set a time, you know, to meet and discuss your onboarding to the program. Once we're able to do that, the student and I, we sit and we look through their academic history. So for some students, it's the first time they've seen their SAR report. And so that gives us a conversation starter as far as the classes that they're enrolled in now, some maybe issues that they've had in the past. If I've noticed some repeats of courses, we talk a little bit about that. I also established what I call that the college know-how, so email. We know that students have a tendency not to check their email, so one of the initial things I do is to show the student how to forward their MC email to their personal email, so that there's never a reason why they shouldn't receive an email from faculty or from any department on campus. After that, we go straight to financial aid. I check to see if the student applied for financial aid, if he or she is eligible for it. If there are issues with that, if their file is incomplete, or if a student has questions, I know at that point that my job is to make sure that they're connected to the right person to get those questions answered. All of those things are initially important because before I can get to helping the student strategize for success, I need to make sure there aren't any barriers that need to be addressed right away. After that is established, I generally make sure that the student is enrolled. Are there any issues with books? We look over the schedule. Is this what you signed up for, the right campus? I've had students, oh, I thought this, this course was, Rockville campus, and so we work through those things. Once that's established, then I go into saying to the student, we see academically, where you are, but I want to know from you what your goals are, and that to me helps establish then the next phase of the relationship, and that's when we're sitting down for that one-on-one to make their success plan. So it's initially a welcome, an onboarding where we're going through the college know-hows and the processes that are necessary, but then we go into, now it's just you and I want to hear from you what your goals are, what you see are barriers to your success here, and how I can help you connect to that. And I generally leave the student with one or two messages, one being that hope is not a strategy. Okay, so we need to make sure you're clear on that. And then there are going to be times where you're going to have to say, you're going to have to break up with some things. And they're like, break up? I didn't think this was a relationship type of mentoring. No, you're going to have to break up with the cell phone, the social media, not wanting to miss out your favorite show. Like, success is intentional. And so I need to establish with the student that this is going to be you being held accountable for what you're telling me you want to achieve. And then from there, we establish the next time that we're going to sit down for the one-on-one. And that meeting initially takes up to 1 hour, going through all those steps. But that's how they're welcome to the program, and know that we're an academic program, and we're here to be a partner. We're not here to do it for you. We're here to do it with you. So that's why all those things are important the first time we meet.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabriela. My goal is to be a pediatrician. I love kids and I love to help parents. I work at a daycare, so I have kind of an experience with parents and kids. The ATPA program has helped me with my schoolwork and also my personal life, because it's nice to have someone that can help you through all those problems. Because school can get really stressful, and it's nice to have someone to talk to and someone that can give you advice and also give you tips and strategies to be the best student that you can be.
My career goal is acquiring a bachelor degree and maybe acquiring a bachelor degree in any biological or health science courses that will assist me in pursuing a degree in maybe doctor or nurse practitioner. And my career vision is to one day be able to provide affordable healthcare to communities in United States and back in my country. And ATPA has really helped me a lot, because when I entered MC, I was like, can I make it? This is a lot for me, but I went into the MC website, I found a coaching website, and I found ATPA. I registered for ATPA, and ever since I've met them, they assigned me Coach Gail, and she has been exceedingly helpful. Whenever I go to her office, she asks me, how is my classes going? She go through my MC, see my grade, and she even emailed all my professors and asked them, how am I doing in class? And she has been getting a great feedback from them.
I have found my students to be very willing to receive coaching for the most part. Most of them feel very comfortable in contacting me, whether by text or phone, email. I feel my primary contributions have been twofold. First, to provide a sympathetic ear and a connection with someone on campus. As we know, student success often depends on having a personal relationship with someone in their institution, whether it be high school or at the college level. We all know our students face lots of challenges, whether social, emotional, whether work issues, family issues, financial issues, and sometimes they just need someone to talk to about them. We can't solve them all, but we can listen and sympathize. The other important contribution I think coaches make is to make students do what they should already be doing, but they don't often know. They need to see their professors. They need to go to counseling and advising. They need to go to their advisors to make sure they are taking the right classes. They need to seek out workshops, whether they be study skills, test taking, how to write an essay. They often don't know about them. They often don't listen for it when their professors suggest them. And so, again, we sort of make them do what they already should be doing.
Good morning, my name is Annabelle Heister. I just finished my first semester at MC, and it went very awesome, very good. Yeah, thank you. So I began at MC. I went to Rockville High School, not too far from here, and I didn't know too much about MC going into it, besides I would always pass it at Rockville Pike, so. But going into MC, I did not know, that ATPA was offered. I didn't know about a lot of the courses and a lot of the special assistances that MC offered to me. I took a summer course called STSU 100, where it introduced me to MC, what classes are like, basically like an introduction course to Montgomery College, and I was introduced to ATPA there, and I'm so thankful that I did, because I started MC as an elementary education major, and then as a semester progressed on, I decided that I do still have such a strong liking for assisting people and helping people, but I also want to do that in a way that I can advocate in a different way. So I decided to change my major right now. I'm studying general studies with a focus in political science, and I was able to do all of that through the help of my coach, Daisy Rosen. She helped me a great amount, and starting right off the bat, we met once a week, every hour, and she gave me so much help, and she acted like such a strong backbone for me. In high school, they don't teach you things, especially even if you go into the college counselor, the importance of meeting with your administrators and your professors weekly, keeping in touch with them, emailing them, preparing for exams. But through ATPA and a lot of the many workshops that they offered, such as if I have test anxiety or if I need an essay to be looked over, I can go to the Writing Center, which they have writing centers at all 3 campuses, so anyone can go to that for help. ATPA has helped me a lot with figuring out how to be a very well-rounded student. I'm able to go up to my peers and say, hey, are you ready for the exam on Friday? Did you go to the Writing Center? Do you know about all the tutoring that's offered in the Math Center? And it's all free. You can go. There's so many resources that Montgomery College offers. And I definitely think that ATPA has been one of the top ones, if not number one. I'm going back to my high school on Friday. We have Alumni Day, and I'm definitely going to be speaking about this program in strong words because it has helped me a great amount. And I know that a lot of my friends that are still in high school, I can tell them about ATPA and how it's helped. And I always strongly encourage my friends to apply. It's so easy, and oh my gosh, they offer so much help. The meetings that I go to Daisy are 1 hour, usually every Friday. That's when we meet. I can tell her, Daisy, I'm struggling in this class. I did not receive the grade that I wanted. Or I can go to Daisy and I passed my math exam. I did it. I struggle in math, and I was able to do that. I set times up with my math professor. We had private review days. I went to the math lab and got tutoring. And I'm able to tell her she is a success coach, so I tell her all the success. And if there are parts of me that I feel like aren't as high up as where they need to be, I definitely know I can go to Daisy to help me. For example, changing majors, especially from an elementary education to political science, that's on like 2 different branches there. So Daisy has helped me a lot. She got me on course with what classes are going to qualify for next semester, who I need to talk to. She knows a lot of people, or a lot of administrators that I can go to see just for information. For example, I just got an internship with Congressman Jamie Raskin. Daisy helped me with the application, the interview, everything. And I'm able to say that I'm like one of the youngest people that is doing that, because most of the people that applied for the internship have just graduated from colleges like American or UMD. They're just finishing college, but I'm already going into my 2nd semester and like starting strong. And I feel like so confident through this program. It has really helped me to be independent and well-rounded. I'm able to see Daisy if I do need help, but going into the 2nd semester, I definitely know that if I'm struggling, I can go to an office hour with my professor. I don't need to say, Daisy, what do I do? Like, I know what to do already, because she has helped me just within the first few months of like where I need to be, where I need to get going, and I'm able to advocate like all the great supports that ATPA has offered me to my fellow students. To some of my classmates, they've never heard of this program. I tell them to apply, how great it is, and when I go to my teachers and tell them, hi, or during my first week of school, I went, hi, like I'm Annabelle, I'm an ATPA, like I really am striving to do like the best I can in your class. I'm gonna be meeting with you and my mentor a lot, pretty often, just to update you on how everything's going in the class. And I'm really able to just be the best student that I can through ATPA. And I'm so, like, whenever I leave the meetings, I feel leaving so strong and so positive. Even though it's a Friday, I'm like, I can't wait to get back on Monday and get everything together and get going. So I always leave with like feeling very positive and very motivated. I would say like ATPA motivates me such a great amount to always want to do my best to, not just for myself, but for my mentors, to show off the program. Like, look at what you guys made. You guys made awesome students. And that, yeah, any student can achieve what they put their mind to. And ATPA has definitely been that success push.
One word of caution I think that I've learned in the semester that I've been doing this is that it's hard for the coaches to realize this, that we're not a cure-all. It's not, the students don't show up and suddenly your grades are going to increase just because we sprinkle you with magic dust. This is about a lot of work for the students and a lot of work with the coaches to get the students where they need to be. But to push the students, a friendly push, but to push them to do the things, as Gail already said, that they need to do to succeed, to connect them with the resources that are out there at all of the different tutoring and success centers, to connect them to the advisors and counselors, to connect them and make them talk to the different departments that they're majoring in and their advisors there. And I hate to say that we're professional nags, but a little bit of this is following up with them. So, you know, we talked about seeing the advisor in this department that you're interested in. Did you make that appointment? Did you go to that appointment? How did it go? And that kind of following up, I think, really makes the students become advocates for themselves. And the other thing I think we really help with is goal setting. I think a lot of students show up in their first semester, as many students across the country show up for the first semester of college and really don't know why they're here, what they're doing. And they have some vague ideas, but it's been really great to sit down and think about why they want to be here and what they want to get out of the experience. I had a student who was in nursing. She says she wants to be a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, but we had to figure out, what does that mean? And I'm a history professor. I had no idea what that path is like. So we sat down together and we looked through what are the requirements that you have to complete here? What are the requirements you're going to have to complete in a bachelor's program to get to that path? And then I happened to have taught a student in the past that had gone through or is in a PA program. So I connected my student that I was coaching with her to to give her some real concrete ideas of what that training is like and what she needs to do to reach those goals.
At first, I would like to apologize if I made a mistake speaking, because I got really anxious speaking in front of the public. So I'm sorry.
We all are anxious.
I've had a great semester, and it's mostly because of my coach, Gil. Without her, I wouldn't have this amazing semester. At first, I thought navigating college might be hard for me because I've not been here for so long, and I thought college might be hard for me, especially in a new country, but it's not. Meeting Gil has made such an impact in my life. I know that she can be trusted, she can be reliable, and I could tell not only about my academic goals, but also about my personal life. There are so many things that ATPA has helped me. I'm sorry, but Guild has helped me in being more organized over college and academic life. We put together schedules into syllabus into a schedule book so that I would not I wouldn't forget, and be able to make a plan. And then I also become more involved in college life, such as volunteering and doing extracurricular activities that I have never done before. And she encouraged me to do that, and it was so wonderful. And also, she helped me get a good grade in French. French was French was just tough for me learning. I've never been exposed to French before, and this is my first time, so I got really bad grades during learning French, but Gil taught me everything is hard, but if you try and keep not giving up, then you'll finally get it. She helped me contact to this language lab, so I took tutoring sessions, and I also go to language lab every day to practice for French, and that's why at the end of the semester, I can say that I did pretty good at it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, April.
Oh, and
Did you want to say something else? Please
yeah.
go ahead.
The most important thing that I want to say is that I also applied to Maclean Business Institute and Impact MC. So Impact MC is a volunteering program, and Maclean Business Institute is an honors program. So at first I don't know anything about it, but I found it on the website, and Gil encouraged me to apply for it. During the application, she helped me with preparing for essays, preparing for resumes, and all these other stuff. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm feeling good about this application.
I'll just give you a little bit of a background to the Embedded Support Program, which, as I shared at the beginning of our session today, is a new piece of the Achieving the Promise Academy. So in addition to our wonderful one-to-one coaching program, this semester, in accordance with the academic master plan for the college, and also as a part of being an Achieving the Dream institution, which aims to close the achievement gap at our school, we implemented the Embedded Support Program. And what we did was we identified highly enrolled courses at our college that traditionally serve to be really challenging for students and therefore have high DFW rates. And if you're not familiar with the college, I know we have some folks joining us from outside of the college today. It stands for the grades of DNF and also withdrawal rates. So what we did was we identified part-time faculty members who work within the discipline, and we hired them as coaches to replicate some of the work that happens on our one-on-one side, but do a little bit more of the support on the content mastery side since they're experts in the content knowledge. So I'm going to have John and Dr. D talk a little bit in a minute about what coaching looks like on the ground, but essentially the framework of the program was to allow these coaches to visit classes every once in a while to build relationships with the students. Some of our coaches worked with the students in classes, but most of the work happened outside of class during study sessions with groups of students and one-on-one work as well. So I'm going to introduce our panel today. We have John Mahoney, who served as a math coach in 6 sections. He did a lot of work this semester, and he's actually taking on 2 more in the spring. So he is like very gung-ho about this program and has just been excellent. We have one of John's students, Monica Ramos, joining us today. And then we have Dr. Mohib Durrani, who was a coach in Physics 161 classes. So I'm so thankful to have you all here today. Can we start by asking the coaches, what did coaching look like for you as an embedded support coach? We just heard from our one-on-one side and how that looks, and we heard from the students' perspectives as well, but just sort of on a weekly basis, what did that look like for you all? Can we start with John?
Thank you, Ray. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been a pleasure to work in Montgomery College. As Ray mentioned, I'm embedded in 6 different classes. 5 of them are Calculus 1, and 1 of them was pre-calculus. And so what I would do would be to visit each of the classes, normally twice a week, for about 15, 20 minutes. Normally toward the end of class, a lot of professors have students work on problems at the end of class or worksheets and things like that. And they were comfortable with me walking around and helping as they helped. Were able to give kids a lot of individual attention then. Also, it showed the students how I worked with them. And so I kept inviting them to my sessions. I had sessions in the Darwin room of the Ackerman Center 4 days a week, and students would come working with me or working with each other, lots of whiteboards. Students would put problems on the board, and if they're on the whiteboards, then I could help them from my seat while I'm helping someone else. Over the term, I helped over about 300 students. And not only just from those 6 particular classes, but word got out, and so I had students coming from other math courses. It was great. I had a lot of fun. I didn't have to grade papers, write tests, or prepare for classes. And what I was doing was, it just felt really good. I was helping students.
I was helping out on Physics 161. It's one of the first physics courses that the students are taking. And the majority of the challenge was in understanding what the problem really is, the physics of it. So I always give the example of my professor of drawing. In the very first class that I was in undergrad, and as my dean mentioned about 100 years before. So he used to say that as soon as you are in the class, he used to raise his hand and say, okay, everybody, look up there. I have a bright red 1-foot diameter ball. Can everyone see it? There's really nothing there. But he used to say that you need to develop your imagination, that right now you can actually see that red ball in my hand. So that's the kind of concepts that need to be developed in physics or in any of the engineering. And I'm an engineer, I brought my shirt also for that. So in terms of the actual embedded classes, I feel very honored to be with my students. The main reason is that they feel free to ask me questions that they would probably be hesitant to ask their professors. I think that's one of the major contributions that we as embedded coaches do. In addition to not only helping them in the physics course, but also I find that developing that personal relationship with each and every student, so that sometimes we get to hear quite a lot of personal challenges that they are going through. And they know that we are there to help them, not only in the course, but in everything else that they are doing, in life, in studies, in sometimes even their relationships. So I feel really honored that a program as such is being offered. The main challenge that we have seen, at least in my classes, is that we had about nearly 30 students that we identified that really needed one-on-one coaching. Nearly half of them were coming, but the other half was a challenge how to reach them. As Dr. Rai had mentioned, we are going to be trying different options. Our chairperson, Dr. Menmuna, mentioned that in the next semester, we are going to have sessions immediately after class so that we can catch them before they leave class. In fact, for this semester, what we had done is right in the beginning, we gave a survey to all the students to identify what are the good timings that they are available so that we can have our one-on-one embedded coaching as well. I sometimes say one-on-one because I wear both the hats. And I know that I've had wonderful colleagues in both Daisy and Gail and the others that are here. So again, coming back, I feel that the embedded coaches are doing a wonderful job, but we really need to reach the people who really need it. My going into the classes, giving the nearly 4 two-hour courses, 2-hour embedded sessions that I do every week, was still not sufficient to get some of those other students. In this case, in addition to what we need to do more to get those students, I should also mention that some of them really enjoyed. I have a very quick readout from one of the students that I'd like to share with you. This is related to me, but I'll just mention. Professor Durrani's study sessions have been extremely helpful with my studies. The session lasted about 2 hours. During this time, students are encouraged by the professor on anything they need to be worked on. The professor asked the students to read the question out aloud. That was to give them a chance to really understand what the problem really is about. And then explain the problem step by step to guide them as to how to solve it. I think this is an effective approach to teaching physics because most of us have trouble understanding the problem, the very first step, and what it wants us to solve. The methodology that the professor uses greatly helps us to solve the problem on our own and practice problem solving. So I'm sure that our colleagues do the same thing in any of the STEM areas. Thank you.
So Dr. D just mentioned that although we're seeing a variety of student attendance in the study sessions, some of our coaches saw 300 students this semester, some of our coaches saw 30, some saw 10. Depending on how comfortable the students were asking for help and the way that the program was set up within each partnership between coach and host faculty, I think we saw some varied results. But I'd love to hear from Monica about what was appealing to you about having a coach in your class and what drove you to take advantage of this service, and tell us a little bit about what you got out of it as well.
I honestly wasn't going to go to see Mr. Mahoney, but I saw that this kid, like, he sat next to me, and then it seemed to, like, he knew what he was doing, so I go up to him the day after the first test, because it wasn't pretty. So, and so I go up to him, and I was like, these are my exact words, he remembers it also. I was like, it looks like you know what you're doing, can you help me? So he gave me his number, and then Ms. Masani told the whole class about Mr. Mahoney. Like, every single day she would tell us, like, you should go over there. And, like, I heard her, but I didn't feel like going. And so, yeah, the kid, Ronnie, she was supposed to be here, but he's sick. And so, So, yeah, he told me, he was like, okay, I'm going to be going here. If you really want to go, if you really want to learn, then you should come here and see Mr. Mahoney. But he only had 2 sessions. One was in the morning from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and then another one at 11. And I had a class at 11, so I couldn't really go. So I had to wake up an hour earlier to go to him, and it really sucked. But I needed the help, so every Monday and Wednesday I would come in at 8 in the morning to study with him. And then sometimes with Ronish, the guy that was supposed to come, we would, like, another day we would stay, or we would go to the center and just rent a room, and we'd be there for hours just studying and studying. And yeah. So if it wasn't for Ronish, I wouldn't have seen Mr. Mahoney, because like I said, the first test wasn't really pretty. And after I saw Mr. Mahoney, and after I worked along with Ronish and Jonathan, the other kid that was supposed to be here, he said he could come. Okay. And he said, okay. And so yeah, all 3 of us, we would just rent a room. And we told, because I had another group chat with other kids in the class. Like I told him, I was like, okay, you really need to come to Mr. Mahoney. And then they didn't come. Like in the group chat, they basically just wanted answers. And so that's why I started the other group chat with Ronish and Jonathan. And they were more helpful than the other 20 kids in the class. Most of them dropped the class, and then I feel like if they were to have come to Mr. Mahoney, like I said, and like Ms. Maisani said, that they wouldn't have dropped the class because it really helped me. And so, yeah.
It was a delight visiting your class. And one of the things I was watching was the students who were participating were all kids I worked with. And it was just great. I mean, they're just, it started making sense to them. And I just want to add to what I was saying earlier. We are supportive of the professors. There's no mention of anything about the professors permitted in my sessions, okay? You can criticize the calculus or the pre-calculus and things like this. Why is it that way? I'll be glad to explain. But we're not here to, talk about teaching methods or whatever, We're here to help students. And it's just been a delight to have. I can tell you that Monica and Jonathan Ronish took full advantage of the 4-hour-long sessions that were available last week before the exam. And there was a dialogue. I was just sitting back, and they were on the whiteboard and, saying, oh, do this, do this. And the 3 of them who just met in your class were working extraordinarily well together. And I hope they did well in the exam.
I would like to add also that in addition to the 3 sections that I was assigned, I got students from other sections also. So it shows that the program is working. And one of the students saw me in the command center and then asked, why are you here, Professor? I said, don't you know we have a embedded class going on for Physics 161? Oh, I'm in that class. I want to come. So that's the kind of enthusiasm that we try and generate in our students. As my father used to say, and I always quote my father, that it is what you learn that is important, but how you learn is what you carry throughout your life.
Thank you so much. So it looks like word of mouth is definitely something that's been very effective with getting students to take advantage of the embedded coaching services. And I think that's something that we're going to really use to our advantage in the spring. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that our coaches, the reason why this is called a coaching role and not simply a tutoring role is because although our coaches support our students in content mastery and their main goal is to get the student to succeed in this particular course that they're assigned to, what they understand also, and what part of their expectation is not only to help the students with the grades, but also being successful overall academically. And so can Mr. Mahoney and Dr. D talk a little bit about, and maybe Monica too, the information that you either sent out to your students in addition to sort of recapping what was covered in class and tutoring the students outside of class, what other information did you send to your students or talk to your students about during study sessions or outside of study sessions as well?
So in addition to physics, when they come, they also mention some challenges that they are having in their personal life, as I mentioned earlier. And one of the students did mention that they feel more comfortable talking to us. And that says a lot in terms of the confidence. Up front, right in the beginning, I mentioned to them that whatever they mention, their confidentiality is going to be maintained always. Even when we as coaches meet, we try to get some help from each other, but we do not mention the particular student about whom we are talking. And I give the example to my wife, about my wife and myself. Some of the people come and talk to my wife. She doesn't tell me who they are, but we talk about what is there. Similarly, it's very important that they feel the confidentiality is being maintained. In terms of the additional resources that are available at MC, we always try to guide them, in addition to embedded functions, as to the wonderful resources that MC offers throughout the different categories, whether it be in terms of financial aid, whether it be in terms of the additional tutoring that they can get, or the coaching, or the counseling. MC is a wonderful place for all the students, and we all feel very fortunate to be at MC, to be with all of you.
Let me talk about one example. One of the students I worked with worked at night at Suburban Hospital, and there's not a lot of opportunity at Suburban Hospital to get help in pre-calculus or calculus. So she would often get stuck on a problem and would take a photo of it and email it to me at 2 or 3 in the morning. And when I got up at 6, I would, I see the problem, and then I, sometimes would take a picture of my calculator and show her how to do it. But it's, math is hard. It really is. And when you get stuck, you're stuck, and it's hard to figure out. And we were able to provide, in this case, via email or in the sessions, ways to unlock it and help build students' confidence. And so it's not just confidence in this course, but it's confidence in future courses, that they can figure it out. Okay? It's not something magic that only the professor knows, but the students I worked with and Mohib worked with, they started making it their own and giving a sense of confidence that I'm convinced will last. So I'm not going to be doing Calculus 2 next semester, but I told the students, I'm always around, I know the math, and if you need help, come on by.
Yeah, Mr. Mahoney just told me to try and get the word out, try and text other people and tell them you should come, which I did, but I guess they didn't really care enough for the class because it really did help me a lot.
I also want to mention, too, that our coaches received information on transfer fares and financial aid deadlines and registration deadlines, and I know that you two, in particular, sent that information out to their students. So again, not only are they getting this really great academic support in this particular class, but sort of on a more holistic level, they're also being coached on how to attend particular workshops or when to attend particular workshops to support particular skills, when certain events were happening on campus, and reminders about upcoming deadlines for their assignments and also events on campus. So I have one more question for Monica, which is, you had an amazing coach, an amazing professor, and how did you know as a student in this class when to seek out support from your professor, who I'm sure made herself available for you and had office hours, and when to seek out assistance from your coach. It's a question that we get a lot. When do students go to one person or another? Did you have a particular way to sort of navigate that partnership between both? Or did you go to someone that you felt like you were more comfortable with a particular assignment versus another one? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, like I said about my first test, I really didn't like how that turned out. So Ms. Maisani, she came up to me and she told me like about Mr. Mahoney. And again, I didn't listen. So, yeah, Ronish, he was helping this other kid. And he was like saying all this stuff, like it was just numbers in my head. I didn't understand what he was saying. And so I told him, I was like, okay, I know, like, you know what you're doing, I need your help. And so he was like, okay, but yeah, we gotta go see Mr. Mahoney. And so it was weird for me because I don't really, like, you know how in the Macklin Standard, is that how you say it? Okay. So they have the tutors over there. They have like English tutors and then all the other tutors. And I used to go there just like because I needed help. But for me, that really didn't work. Like they didn't really help me a lot. So when I went to Mr. Mahoney, that really did change because I was able to work with him with different problems. And yeah, like I could work on all the problems together instead of having to go in, sign in, and then make an appointment or have them only help me with one problem. Because with Mr. Mahoney, we had a whole hour, and he could just help me with other things. And because the other two kids, they were also in my class, when Mr. Mahoney was busy with another student, we just got together and we just tried to figure it out before we went to talk to Mr. Mahoney about it. So yeah.
So it sounds like there was great collaboration and communication between your coach and your professor. Your professor referred you to your coach, and therefore you knew that he was a great resource that was available for you. Okay, so thank you so much. The last question I have for the coaches, and I think this is really relevant to you two in particular, is that so we had opportunities to meet together as a greater team and swap ideas and talk about how this is hard in its first implementation, and we were, sort of just kind of conceiving of what this could look like and trying to figure it all out. And I know you two, even though you're across different disciplines, leaned on each other by kind of sharing ideas and visiting each other's study sessions. Can you talk about, as our last panel question before we open it up to the audience, what collaboration looks like within this embedded coach program and how that was valuable to you to meet monthly together and also on your own when you needed each other's support?
I feel that we have an excellent group in terms of embedded coaches. The main advantage that I find is that the enthusiasm that all of us bring, especially when you look at John, he's always smiling and very willing to help at any time, even at night, as he mentioned. I remember that since I'm wearing the two hats, in the beginning I got a Skype call from one of my students who wanted some help in what that particular student was doing. And of course I agreed. And the thing that I find by meeting with John and talking to him, and he made the initial effort to come and see me at the command center, is that we all share in the success of our students. That's our primary goal. And the second one that really drives us is that we love to teach. Otherwise, we would not be here. We love to teach. We are very committed. We are very enthusiastic. And that's what we would like to share with our students and our colleagues, of course.
Do you have anything to add? That's it? Okay, great. So thank you to our wonderful panel. And if you all have questions about the Embedded Support Program, how it works, ideas for the spring, any clarification questions, we're going to open it up. I know we have some coaches who are going to be joining us in the spring for the first time and some host faculty members here. We're so excited to have you here. Does anyone have any questions?
The ability to be math or physics problems, you know.
Yeah.
So when
integral
students
tangent?
join the program, are they assigned a coach and an embedded coach? I understand the difference. It seems like the coach is more, I would say, more global in terms of the academic education. And then the embedded coach, like you mentioned, was more content mastery, but it seems like the embedded coach also has a hand on the other side. So will a student get one of each? Is there a point where an embedded coach would then just say, I'm going to refer you to this other coach? So how does that work?
Yeah, really good question. So the major distinction is that on the one-on-one side, if a student joins the program and it's voluntary, then they stay with that same coach until they graduate or transfer. And like you said, it's more of a holistic approach. With the embedded coaches, the coaches only work with that student's section that semester. And this is not voluntary on the student's part entirely. We now have notes on our course schedule for the spring. So the courses that have been identified as being involved in the program have a note that says this is an embedded support section. You will be receiving additional support at no cost. And so the students are now becoming a little bit more aware of that. But the coaches and the host faculty work with that section that semester. Now, in terms of your question about overlap, and maybe one of our coaches, Teresa, if you want to, I'm putting you on the spot, but if you want to share about your experiences, we had incredible embedded support coaches who got to know their students during study sessions and realized the student needs more support than I can offer just in this through tutoring and through my interaction with them through this course. And so somebody like Teresa was really terrific about referring particular students to us so that they could get set up with a one-on-one coach. And so it's really nice when both sides work in synthesis with each other and in collaboration with each other. Did you want to share anything else about that, Teresa?
Yeah, sure. And it was a challenge. It definitely was a challenge to initially get the students to attend the sessions, but I did have pretty decent attendance at the sessions. And what would happen is, we'd work on their chemistry. I did 3 sections of Chem 99. We would work on the chemistry problems, but then invariably, they would mention some other challenge they had at the college. And frankly, I'm not aware of all of the programs as much as I should be for how long I've been here, but Yura was very helpful. I would sometimes email her, and she would tell me what the resource was. And then the student, I had several students that did some referred to the DSS program. One person has joined the ATA program and is really getting a lot of benefit out of it. And then even others had just other logistical questions where, there are really some of the students, this is their first semester here, or they're working full-time and they have their families and they just don't have time to chase down some of these challenges. And so I found that was another benefit. And then back to the other question where you had mentioned about how do the students know whether to see the coach versus the professor. I had really fantastic host faculty. I was really, really, really fortunate this semester. But what I did find was that a lot of times they would maybe feel more comfortable in initially contacting me, but not necessarily with all students, but with a few students. And I did find that I would say, you know what, you need to talk to your professor about this issue. They're the primary person that would be the best resource for this. And even when, in a couple cases, I had them actually email their professor while we were in the coaching session. And then I did find that I would hear then throughout the semester, oh, well, I went to see my professor on this, and now I have another question on a follow-up question. So I think it did actually encourage the students to go see their primary professors more, which I guess the one-on-one side said that was another thing that they did. So
I want to save enough time for you all to get lunch. I'm sure you're hungry from all this grading you've been doing, but I know that we had a couple of hands, so I'm going to take, no, you're okay, Ethan's okay. Okay, maybe the question has been answered because Dr. I gave us so many details. Professor Park, go ahead. Yep, go for it.
What's the attendance rate once the embedded coach and the students somehow get connected? Do you set up certain time, like so many minutes per week that they have to attend to ask questions, or do they come only when they have questions?
Yep.
So the attendance rate.
Right. I do set up times and made sure that they were seemed to be available. We'll do a better job of checking with availability with next semester's students, but they are not required to do that. I do ask that they sign in and give me the professor's name, and I email the professors every week and tell them who attended, how frequently they attended. But it's totally optional. I would say if they're hour-long sessions, most students are there for half an hour to an hour. But I also see students anytime I'm on campus. So I can do math in my head.
Meaning for a student who decide to come, like,
Yeah.
was it Monica? Yeah. Did you go every time or once a month or a couple of times a semester or?
Every morning, on Mondays and Wednesdays, at 8 o'clock in the morning.
So how many students did you have coming regularly? I'm talking to
You're
Mr.
talking to
Mahoney,
him?
yeah.
Yeah. I had maybe 15, 20 students I saw pretty regularly, and who would check in with me. And of course, I would see these students in class too. It's hard. A lot of the hardest classes for me to work with were the Tuesday, Thursday classes, because the students were often had such a busy schedule after that, so it's hard to fit that in.
If I may add, what I did in the beginning is that I distributed a survey from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., 1-hour slots, and gave it to all the students in my section so that they could give me a feedback when it was convenient for them to meet. So based on that, and with the help of my chairperson, Dr. Benmona, we identified 4 sections of 2 hours each every week. And amongst the students that were coming, I would say that we, first of all, again, I have to mention that my chair was very cooperative. She shared quite a lot of information about all the students that were in my 3 sections. So we identified about 30 students who would probably need additional embedded coaching. We reached out to all the 3 sections, but only about 17 came throughout the whole semester, out of a total of nearly 30 that were identified, out of a total of maybe around 60 students in the 3 sections. To a large extent, I feel that it is the hesitation of the students not self-advocating and coming. The faculty with whom I was working regularly mentioned to the students that embedded coaching is available, and especially nearly 8 hours every week. I was just comparing with some of my other colleagues who tutor students part-time. College tutoring one-on-one goes up to $100 an hour.
As a librarian at Germantown, I just really hope that the history professor who needed to find out about nursing found our careers database, which has a lot of information about any career. And then a person saying they had books recommended they could buy in the bookstore and grammar and punctuation. So I just wanted to point out to the coaches, you can send your students to the library to check out books on grammar and punctuation for free. And if you have any that are good you'd like to recommend, we'd be happy probably to buy them. And of course, finding study rooms. We have study rooms for groups of 3 or more. And I know our instruction librarians are already working with one of those courses, either criminal justice, one of Psych 102, right, to work together with the embedded librarian program. But I really appreciated your comment, Dr. Rai, who said students often don't take advantage of the opportunities they're sometimes offered at, and I felt like you were talking about the library, because sometimes they don't take advantage of it. And we don't often have the personal relationship with people. but probably not so much in math or physics, but in this criminal justice in Psych 1 or 2, we can definitely help people when they're doing their research papers. And as I point out sometimes when I teach instruction, we're very happy to meet with students when they're just thinking about what topic would they like, to brainstorm, run different topics through our databases and see where we would have good resources. And I don't think students or even faculty are always aware, that we could do a little bit longer consultations with students if we feel that we need it. So anything you can do to promote that for us would be great. Thank you.
I think that's such a wonderful note to end on, because the more that folks in the community learn about our program and the more that we are starting to build these partnerships and collaborate with different departments, I find the stronger our program is and the better our services are that we're giving to our students. So please continue to stay in touch with us. Know that we are so willing and happy to present at your department meetings or at any gatherings that you have, speak to your students, and I hope that we can continue to work together to support student success.